Senator from Alabama.
Mr. President, I appreciate the leaders who've worked on this bill, Senator Murkowski and Cantwell, and the good work they put into it. I've served on the Energy Committee and now serve on Environment and Public Works. Those are important committees as we wrestle with how to produce energy at a lower prices that is healthy for our nation. But as we consider this Energy Policy Modernization Act, I want to focus on a critical point about public policy and what is a primary goal of the United States of America. We're in a very competitive world. Energy is a big part of how we compete on manufacturing, production, jobs, and the American people want us to focus on that. In addition, energy impacts everybody when they fill up their tank, when they drive to work. It's important when it comes to paying the electric bill or the heating bill at home. Is it expensive or not so expensive? The price of energy has dramatic impact on the quality of life for American people to a degree that's almost impossible to ascertain. When the price of gasoline is cut in half and somebody has a real commute every day, they may have $200 a month in gasoline bills, and now it's $100. They have $100 extra in their pocket without taxes, without insurance, without house payments to be paid out of that they can use to take care of their own personal needs, their family, their vacation, going out to eat, or just paying down that credit card that's been run up too high. So for decades, Republicans have called for producing more American energy. And our Democratic colleagues have attacked those proposals that would increase the supply of energy, claiming that these efforts are part of some corrupt deal with big oil companies to make them rich at the expense of the taxpayers and the American citizens. That's been the argument. You've heard it for the last 30 years. But is that a correct way to analyze the challenges that we face? Is that the way to establish good, sound public policy that will produce more American energy and bring down the cost? Our colleagues objected to the Keystone Pipeline. We had a number of votes over a number of years, and finally it passed, and the president vetoed that. What did the Keystone Pipeline do? It produced another source of oil for the United States of America. Was that good or bad for big Texas oil companies? It's bad for those companies. Made it harder for them to get a higher price. There's now another substantial competitor pouring another supply of oil into the United States. This was not a corrupt deal to try to benefit some big oil company, but a way to make the supply more plentiful, to bring down the cost of energy for American people. That's what we were fighting for, and it baffled me to no end that the president even finally vetoed it at the end, after the American people so clearly favored that. The federal ban on drilling in the Gulf of Mexico. We had a Deepwater Horizon disaster in 2010. There's no doubt about that. And this country really focused on it. Great effort was placed into finding out how it happened, how we could prevent it in the future. And eventually, the Obama administration said they were reopening production in the Gulf. I thought longer than necessary. There's now on site, according to a government official, a cap that if the Horizon disaster were to occur again, that cap within a matter of days could be taken out and it would successfully have stopped that blowout well. We didn't have it in advance. We should have had it. But that's fixed and other things were done, and the president said we were going to open up drilling in the Gulf of Mexico, but it wasn't so. They referred to it as a de facto moratorium. You still couldn't get approval, and we lost a lot of production that went to other places in the globe. So more production means lower prices. More American oil means more American jobs, more revenue for the federal and state governments that benefit from that, and a smaller wealth transfer from Americans to some foreign country that may be hostile to us, who we have to buy our oil from. That's the kind of direction we should look to head. Additionally, the Obama administration recently placed a moratorium on new leases for coal mined on federal lands. I believe the administration has bypassed Congress and the will of the American people by drafting regulations that seriously constrain the use of coal as an energy source. We just have to use coal. It's a magnificent energy source, and we can do it and are doing it more cleaner year after year. Closing producing coal mines reduces American energy competition and certainly increases the cost of everyday living for Americans, and it certainly lays off and causes economic dislocation where mine after mine after mine are being closed and United Mine Workers are being laid off. So I've always believed and fought for increased energy production for the American people, not for big oil companies, but because greater production brings down price. We know now that's true because we've seen a worldwide increase in supplies, which has resulted in a dramatic decrease in the price of oil, an amount below what anyone might have expected. This price collapse affects Americans at the gas pump every day. Gas prices are the lowest they've been since 2008. $1.84 is the national average as of last week. This is half of what it was a few months ago. This has been my goal and the goal of my Republican colleagues and a lot of members on both sides of the aisle. In addition, we've increased oil production throughout the country with new fracking technologies, and we've had battle after battle over that. But we've never had water supplies that have been impacted adversely by fracking, and it's a highly efficient technology. And it also helped collapse the price of oil. Efficiency breakthroughs, and there's some in this legislation, and we've had good bipartisan support for efficiency breakthroughs over the years. They've caused us to have a car that uses a little less gas, houses to be more efficient, and other energy sources being more efficient. As a result, we've needed less oil. That also helps increase the supply as the demand increases. So that's been a positive step towards seeing the collapse in prices. But if big oil were so powerful, how is it that the price of oil has gone from $140 a barrel to $30 a barrel? Some people, they dictate the price. They can set the price whatever they want it to be. Not if the supply starts coming in large numbers. Prices begin to decline. It was at $140 a barrel. Now it's at $30, $35 a barrel. The energy industry supports 9.8 million U.S. jobs, which represents 8% of the U.S. economy. Low energy costs are critical to advance the American manufacturing. Without affordable, efficient, and reliable energy sources, American companies cannot supply their factories and employees with the kind of production we want to see. Standard & Poor's, in one of their recent investment reports, wrote that affordable energy is critical to give U.S. manufacturers, quote, a competitive edge over overseas competitors. We do have lower energy prices than Europe, than Japan, than South Korea. That's an advantage, and we want to keep that advantage. We need more American jobs, not less. We need to see fewer offshoring incidences than we've seen. We need to have some onshoring, some return of manufacturing to America. If we can keep our energy prices low, it's a way that our businesses can take advantage of that and expand their production of various products, many of which can be sold around the world. The President's agenda, I have to say, which he's carried on since the beginning, has had the effect of really helping foreign countries by keeping our prices higher than they should be and blocking reasonable efforts to add more production in America. Instead of American energy being promoted at home and abroad, Iran, for example, is now able to export oil freely thanks to the flawed nuclear deal. And instead of promoting the general welfare of the United States, the President has limited the production of domestic oil, further increasing costs for consumers. Regulators have delayed American production for many, many times. So these are important dynamics, along with, let me say, nuclear power. I believe that's a very valuable part of the American energy production. Now, I've been a strong advocate of nuclear power for years, and Republicans have too. It is a direct competitor to big oil, to carbon fuels, and we need more of that. So I think we need to remember that. Yes, wind and solar is getting more competitive, but it still remains, for the most part, more expensive than in most places in the country. And I hope that it will continue to drop in price. Maybe it will, but I can't imagine we'll see dramatic increases anytime soon. If we were to shift America immediately to a total solar and wind power system, prices would go through the roof. It would hammer Americans far more than we've ever seen before. So I think this bill has many good qualities. It helps improve efficiency. It helps improve innovation. And maybe we can build on it in a way that brings America to the point that we can produce more American supply, keep the price down, help revitalize our manufacturing base, and put this country in a position that it can compete far more effectively on the world marketplace. Mr. President, I thank the chair and will yield the floor.